kids, welcome to our science class. Our first lesson for this school year is all about recognizing useful and harmful materials. Everything around us is matter: the soil, water, and air. Matter has different properties that can be considered in order to minimize waste. Matter has different properties that make them different from one another. Some types have properties that make them good materials for producing useful products. Other types have properties that make them harmful. Sometimes matter also undergoes changes that affect its properties. Now, this module focuses on the different properties of matter that can be classified as useful or harmful. This also gives the importance of recognizing the physical and chemical properties of matter in determining the usability of a certain material. After you study this module, you will learn to identify the different properties of matter that can help you determine whether it is harmful or useful. You will also be able to enumerate useful and harmful materials at home and in school, and be able to differentiate useful from harmful materials. And for our first activity for today, let's answer the activity under what I know, letter A. Directions. Determine which of the activities below is desirable or harmful. Write D if the activity is desirable, or H if the activity is a harmful one. Number 1. Placing the biodegradable wastes in the compost pit. Number 2. Smelling the fumes exhausted by cars. Number 3. Using broken glass to cut paper. Number 4. Covering the textbook with acetate. And number 5. Burning plastic bottles. For our next activity under what I know, which is the activity B, here is the directions. The pictures in column 1 are materials you commonly see at home or in school. Match the image of materials listed in column 1 with their usefulness or harmfulness in column 2. Write the letter of your answer on your answer sheet. Number 1. Paint. Number 2. Detergent. Number 3. Insecticide. Number 4. Oil. And number 5, spoiled milk. Were you able to identify the desirable and harmful activities? How about on the next activity? Were you able to identify the usefulness and harmfulness of materials? Great job! Now let's move on to the next part of our module. Here are some of the materials that we usually found at home and in school. Now, I want you to try to classify them using the table shown on the screen. The table is divided into 2. We have the first column, materials usually found at home, and the second column, materials usually found in school. Now write each material under the column it belongs. Are you ready? Let's do this! Now look at the pictures that I will show to you. Observe how the materials in the pictures are being handled. Identify whether they are useful or harmful. Number 1. Broken glass. Number 2. Empty bottles being refilled. Number 3. Used boxes as books organizer. Number 4. Candy wrappers made into wall cover. And number 5. Vegetable peelings made into compost. Materials are said to be useful when they serve their purpose. These may have properties such as durability, flexibility, elasticity, hardness, and resistance to water, heat, or acid. Most of the useful materials can be reused and recycled. For example, a container for solid or liquid. When it is already empty, it can still be used for other purposes, such as a flower vase, a coin bank, or a house decor. Whether a bottle is made of plastic or glass, it has a property that makes it reusable. Some useful materials may also bring hazards. For example, a broken glass jar can cause cuts or injury. Toxic substances may also be present in the things you commonly use, such as paints, cleaners, fumes, gels, or powders. These materials may bring harm to your health, environment, and other organisms when not used properly. That's why you should be careful when handling and using different materials. Now let's answer activity 1 of What's More. Open your modules on page 5. Direction. Classify the different materials found in the word pool below as useful or harmful. Write each word under the proper column. Now, after you have classified the materials into useful material and harmful materials, let us now try to answer the following question. Number 1. Which materials are useful? When do they become useful? Number 2. Which materials are harmful? When do they become harmful? After you answered activity 1, let's move to activity 2. Open your modules on page 6. Direction. Classify whether the materials below are useful or harmful. Put a check mark on the appropriate column. Number 1. Empty bottles made into plant pots. Number 2. Fruit peelings converted into fertilizers. Number 3. Expired medicine in the cabinet. Number 4. Old newspaper made into flower vase. And number 5. Broken glass scattered on the floor. After you identify the materials, as to useful or harmful materials, let us now try to answer the following questions. Number 1. What are the useful materials in the activity 2? Number 2. How do empty bottles, fruit peelings, old newspaper become useful? How do they become harmful? Number 3. How can you maximize the use of useful materials that you have identified? Number 4. How can you minimize the hazard of harmful materials? For activity 3, identify which of the materials below is useful or harmful by drawing a happy face for useful and a sad face for harmful. Number 1. Candy wrappers made into bag. Number 2. A broken glass thrown in the backyard. Number 3. Disinfectant bottles thrown everywhere. Number 4. A box made into a bookshelf. Number 5. Leftover food from restaurants turned into fertilizers. Number 6. Used syringes and needles placed beside children's toys. Number 7. A broken container turned into a decorative plant holder. Number 8. Used car tires turned into park benches. Number 9. Old colorful magazines made into paper baskets. And number 10. Empty bottles of paint thrown into the garbage bin for burning. Based in activity 3, when does a material become useful and when does it become harmful? Please open your modules on page 7. Let us answer what I have learned. Direction. Complete the paragraph using the words in the box. Harmful, reuse, hazardous, useful, purpose, painful. Many materials and substances are blank at home and in school, but they can be blank if not used properly. Materials are considered useful when they serve the blank. Some useful materials can be blank. For example, an empty container can be used as a house decor. But some materials can be blank, like a broken glass jar that can cause cuts or injury. For the What I Can Do part of your module, let us list 5 different materials used at home and in school. Write a sentence describing how can the material be useful or harmful. Now, based on the lists that you have done, how do you properly dispose harmful materials? And now, to assess what you have learned for today, please open your modules on page 8. Write a check mark if the material are useful, or a wrong mark if they are harmful. Number 1. Used empty bottles made into a flower vase. Number 2. Fruit and vegetable peelings converted into fertilizers. Number 3. Storing expired medicine in the cabinet. Number 4. Old newspapers used to pack things in the store. Number 5. Scattered broken glass found inside the classroom. Number 6. Food boxes used as toy cabinets at home. Number 7. Candy and juice wrappers made into an eco bag. Number 8. Plastic water bottles thrown in the canals. Number 9. Busted light bulbs left unattended at home. And number 10. Empty disinfectant bottles not properly disposed. For your additional activities, copy and fill in the table. Enumerate some useful and harmful materials that you can find at home or in school. If useful, give examples on how you can use it. If harmful, explain how you can dispose of the material properly.